If you're a normal buyer in Cape Town looking at places like Woodstock, Bo Kaap, Blouberg, Muizenberg, or the CBD, this video might save you a lot of money. Hey, I'm Trevor Whittaker with eXp Realty in Cape Town, and a while ago I did a video called The Worst Places to Buy in Cape Town, and it blew up. 30,000 views with plenty of comments from people that had plenty to say. But there was one fair criticism. A lot of you said and shared with me, Trevor, no normal buyer is actually looking in those areas. All right, fair point. So today we're doing part two and we're leveling up. I'm talking about real suburbs that everyday buyers actually consider. But that, from my perspective, I want to add that, from my perspective, can be some of the worst places to put your money in right now. Here's a quick disclaimer before we get into the suburbs. I am not saying these are bad places or that you're wrong if you live there, okay? I'm looking purely from a property value, risk and lifestyle point of view. There are great streets and great properties in every one of the areas I'm going to mention today. My goal is just to help you avoid being that buyer who messages me 5 years from now saying, I wish somebody had warned me about this before I bought. When I say I wouldn't buy here, I'm looking at things like price versus value in the Cape Town market. I'm looking at things like crime patterns versus the suburbs' reputation. I'm looking at things like traffic and commute. Cape Town's congestion is world class in the worst possible way. I'm looking at levies and maintenance on apartments and estates. I'm also looking at gentrification and tourism pressure in inner city heritage areas, and how easy it is to resell or rent out later. Now, with that in mind, let's get into the 5 suburbs. First up, Cape Town CBD, micro apartments and high-rise blocks in the inner city centre. Why people love it? Well, here you go. You're right in the heart of Cape Town. You walk to work, walk to restaurants, walk to the nightlife. The marketing screams, lock up and go investment. Great Airbnb potential. Young professionals love it. But here's why I usually tell normal buyers to think twice. High levies. Many of these buildings have serious monthly levies, and those levies usually go up every single year. In some blocks, once you add the levies, the rates and the insurance, your monthly cost is closer to a bond on a small house in a decent suburb. Also, noise and nightlife. If you're not a nightlife person, the constant noise, traffic and events can make living there a bit of a shock. Be prepared. There's also an oversupply risk in the CBD. There are a lot of similar units in and around the CBD and also the foreshore. When there's lots of stock, it can keep resale prices and rental growth under pressure, especially in economic downturns. Who can it still work for, Trevor? Well, young professionals who genuinely want that inner city lifestyle. investors who understand the numbers very well and are okay with a higher risk. But if you're a first-time buyer dreaming of some quiet and stability, I think your money often works harder in other parts of Cape Town than a tiny CBD bachelor with huge levies. Number 2 is Woodstock and Salt River. On Instagram and in marketing, these areas look like a classic upcoming high hipster suburb area. Close to the CBD, cool coffee shops, galleries, co-working spaces, older homes being renovated, warehouses turned into chic apartments, and yes, there has been a lot of gentrification and development here, which can be great for some investors and businesses. But from a normal buyer's point of view, there are some real questions to be asked. What are those, Trevor? Well, here we go. You often get a mix of beautifully renovated properties, sorry about that, next to very run-down ones, which can create big differences in street-on-street value. Gentrification brings tension. It also brings rising prices, displacement pressure on long-term residents, and sometimes higher crime in the transition period. You need to be very specific about the street, the block, and the type of property you want to buy in this area. Again, I'm not saying never buy in Woodstock or Salt River. I'm saying if you're a normal first-time buyer buying a home for your family, there are simpler, more stable suburbs at similar prices with less complexity and less noise. I treat these areas as advanced level purchases, not beginner level. Third on my list, and this one is going to upset a few people, the area Bo Kaap. Now, Bo Kaap is one of the most iconic places in Cape Town. Colourful houses, rich Cape Malay history, heritage status, 7 mosques in a tiny area, and insane Instagram appeal. From a cultural and historical point of view, it's incredibly important to the city of Cape Town. But from an everyday buyer point of view, here's why it can be a tough buy. Tourism pressure, meaning constant tour buses, people taking photos outside your front door, narrow streets blocked for pictures, parking and access. Oh, lots of very tight streets, not much parking, and steep hills. Gentrification and price tension. Property prices have risen sharply, and there's real tension between preserving the local community and outsiders buying in for investment or as digital nomads. For the right person, someone who loves the culture, values the heritage, and is okay with the tourists outside every day, it can be an amazing place to live. But if you're a typical buyer saying, I just want a quiet, practical home in Cape Town, I'd be very careful about buying in Bo Kaap without fully understanding the lifestyle that comes with it. Number 4 is not one suburb, but a cluster on the western seaboard. Blouberg, Tableview, and Parklands. We'll include Parklands North in that. These areas have been booming with buyers from Johannesburg and other provinces. Classic semigration hotspot. You get beachfront and sea views in parts of Blouberg. Relatively more space than the Atlantic seaboard. Lots of new complexes and estates targeting middle-class buyers and investors. So what's the problem with all this, Trevor? Well, huge amount of sectional title stock, especially in parts of Tableview and Parklands. When there's a lot of similar apartments and townhouses, you can get heavy competition in the rental and the resale market. Cape Town traffic. If you're commuting into the CBD or south, you know that Blouberg to city traffic can be brutal in peak hour times. Cape Town is literally ranked amongst the most congested cities in the world right now. In some pockets, you get a big mix in building quality. Some developments are excellent, others are very basic investor stock. Again, there are some great estates and great streets here, especially if you choose carefully in Parklands North and some of the better run complexes. But if you're buying purely because everyone is semigrating to Blouberg, it must be a great investment. That's where I'd say slow down and make sure the numbers, the levies, and the exact complex actually make sense for you. Number 5, last on our list, Muizenberg, especially the beachfront sectional title units. Now, on paper, Muizenberg looks like an absolute dream. Oh, surf culture at Surfers Corner, colorful beach huts, mountain views, coastal lifestyle at a lower price than the Atlantic seaboard, strong rental demand and impressive growth in recent years. So why is it on my think twice list? Well, here it is. Commute. It's not exactly around the corner from the city. If you work in the CBD or northern suburbs, the back and forth can wear you down. Tourism and seasonal feel. Certain parts can feel very seasonal, great in the summer and a bit quiet in the winter. If you're buying a permanent primary home, that's something to consider. Sectional title realities. Yes, again, you have to watch levies, building maintenance, and body corporate management closely before you buy. Strong yields on paper can disappear if levies jump or special levies come in. For lifestyle-driven buyers, surfers, creatives, remote workers, Muizenberg can be absolutely brilliant. For a first-time family just wishing and wanting a simple, stable suburb near work and schools, I might steer you somewhere more balanced. So, to recap, the 5 Cape Town areas I'd personally be cautious about as a normal buyer right now are, number 1, Cape Town CBD micro apartments and city centre high-rises. Number 2, Woodstock and Salt River. Number 3, Bo Kaap. Number 4, Blouberg, Tableview and Parklands. Number 5, Muizenberg beachfront apartments. I'm not saying these are bad suburbs. I'm saying they're complicated. You need to go in with eyes open. Understand the levies, understand the lifestyle, understand the traffic and the tourism, the gentrification and the long-term resale picture. If you're thinking about buying in Cape Town and you want a second opinion on an area before you sign an OTP, here's what I'm offering. My contact details are in the description below, so book a free area audit call with me. Send me your short list of suburbs and the properties you're interested in, and I'll give you a brutally honest view of the pros and cons and alternatives before you commit. And if you live in any of these suburbs, Tell me in the comments what I got right and what I got wrong, and which suburb you think I should cover next in a part 3. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with anyone thinking about buying property in Cape Town right now.